Good morning. How are we doing? All right. Good to see everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. It's a beautiful day in Paris, and it is my pleasure to introduce you all to Mr. Vincent Chok. He came in all the way from Hong Kong to have this fire chat with us. So we're in for a treat, everybody.
Thank you.
So Vincent, first question, what's your favorite drink in Paris?
Wine, of
Yes,
course.
but let's get a little bit more specific. What kind of wine? What's your favorite wine?
I'm a big Bordeaux fan.
Bordeaux,
Really love
okay.
the Cab Sauv, yeah.
Okay. And have you had any good wine since you've been here?
Well, we had a recent dinner, so we
Have
kind of
a
cracked
nice
open
dinner.
a very 7 or 8 bottles that night.
It wasn't last night, for the record. That's why we are a little bit fresh. But thank you again for joining us. The cat's really out of the bag already for those of you who haven't seen the announcement. But First Digital Trust, the official issuer of FDUSD, a US dollar stablecoin, will be launching on Sui before the end of the first half of the year. So we are delighted and to be able to share this news with you all this morning. And we're going to really dig into the reasons why they wanted to do this, what they're looking forward to do, and the types of use cases that we're hoping to activate. But before we do that, I want to take a step back and really get to know Vincent and his company a little bit more. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, your journey, and how you came to this point of building on blockchain in issuing a US dollar stablecoin from Hong Kong?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the TradFi world, a very traditional trust company. We spun off to First Digital about 6 years ago, knowing that the blockchain technology was going to really overtake the existing trust type of structure, which is a very old dinosaur. You know, everything is done by paper. So when I heard about the blockchain, I thought that was it. This is the future. And you know, the whole word about custody. How do you maintain and keep assets safe? So we've been doing that for many years in the past. And the only difference was, well, this is a digital asset. Well, what is digital asset? So that was, in the beginning, a little bit challenging.
Sure.
But, you know, we got through that. And I think that we became sort of the behind the scene company that supported a lot of crypto companies regarding not only holding the assets, but how do you reporting obligations, you got your tax obligations, you got to look at. So Hong Kong was a very good jurisdiction for us to kind of build that, and it led us to stablecoins. And you know, we were really happy to launch FDUSD in June of last year, and it's just been an amazing ride. And
Yeah.
now we want to really work and then work with different companies, and Sui is really somebody that we are very happy to work with, and I'm really excited to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. We're really excited to have you here. I want to talk a little bit about Hong Kong specifically because the evolution of stablecoins really started with the dollar stablecoin. And what people don't realize is that the dollar stablecoin is more popular outside of the United States than being in the United States. And so you mentioned that Hong Kong is a very friendly jurisdiction for you to do that. Can you just elaborate a little bit more and why you think having that trust license in Hong Kong puts you in a very, very advantageous position to carry the adoption of FDUSD forward in Hong Kong, beyond Hong Kong, just globally in general?
Well, Hong Kong has always been a very international finance center. It's top 3. You can argue between Hong Kong and Singapore, which is, you know, they kind of always interchange. But Hong Kong is really advantageous for what we're doing is because of the fact that there's no exchange controls, there's no capital controls, and we have the ability to hold over 22 native currencies in Hong Kong. So,
Wow.
which is huge.
Wow.
And to add to that, as a trust company, we have structured a stablecoin that's very different from the other 2 big guys. I'm sure you guys know who. I'm not going to promote them today. But
That's okay. But tell us what differentiates FDUSD and the others in the market.
well, number one is that we operate under a trust structure So it's a dual balance sheet structure, which is
Okay.
really key. Other stable coins, all of their underlying reserves are sort of in one balance sheet.
They're commingled under one balance sheet. Okay.
Correct. So we have that very clear-cut dual balance sheet where assets are protected by the Hong Kong government. In case there's insolvency in the trust company itself, it won't touch the underlying asset. So that's really an important factor in operating and managing fiat assets.
Right.
And secondly, I do feel that Hong Kong is a very good jurisdiction due to the fact that, well, we're common law. International banks are there, so we have a lot of tier one banks. We have the ability to invest the underlying asset directly into cash and cash equivalent products,
Excellent.
treasuries. And I think that because of the usage of stablecoin within the region, Southeast Asia, as we know that majority of users for crypto is outside of the US, as you mentioned. So, reporting tax benefits. So Hong Kong is a very low tax jurisdiction.
Oh, I missed that. Don't remind me of that. I live in Toronto now, and I pay a very hefty tax. I was fortunate enough to work in Hong Kong and paid the 17% tax for 5 years, and I thoroughly missed that. But this isn't about tax, you guys.
Yeah.
But I do want to call out, because of the advantages that you just mentioned, the market has responded to that, right? So FDUSD has reached a market cap of over 3.5 billion, if I'm not mistaken, since the inception of FDUSD back in June. And just for reference, folks, Circle's USDC took them about a year to reach 1 billion. Obviously, we are in different markets, and obviously we have different partners that you have chosen to work with in order to get access for users to access FDUSD. But it's quite an impressive journey that you guys have been on so far, and we're super excited to go on this with you. A couple of other stats, just so folks are aware. I'm reading off my notes here. After the BTC Spot ETF that launched, there was some really exciting trading activity that happened between BTC and FDUSD. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, within that week, our daily trading volume was just really tremendous. We got up to the highest, I think it was 26 billion trading volume per day. And we actually beat USDT and USDC for the trading pair with BTC.
And this is across globally, centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges
globally,
combined.
Yes.
Well,
so that was a big milestone for us.
Excellent. So I want to circle back to maybe the aspirations behind why you wanted to issue a digital dollar in the beginning. I'm assuming you had certain visions for FDUSD from real world use case perspective. We're going to talk about DeFi in 1 second, don't worry. But let's talk about your TradFi background. You were excited about blockchain. You saw the potential in a dollar stablecoin, specifically in Hong Kong. What did you want people to do with it?
Well, we know that stablecoin is now something that's really important for both centralized exchanges and for DeFi, because it is a way of locking in the value for pairs and traders, and for that, it's almost like what we talked about. It's like it's a measuring stick as a way of solidifying those values. So we think that it's an important part of leverage, providing leverage.
And from a regular user perspective, what kind of use cases were you excited about to activate? Were there any particular organizations that you worked with where they were using FDUSD as part of their flow of funds to help users move money cross borders? Any of those use cases you would like to share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we want FDUSD to kind of grow beyond just being trading on exchanges and DeFi. But one of the use cases that I think I'm really excited about is dealing with payments, dealing with cross-border. We hear a lot of the keyword unbanked in the past, and really to try to solve those issues, it wasn't easy, especially when you're dealing with regulators and money. So really, the key is how do you be compliant, deal with KYC, AML issues. Right now, it's a representation of a dollar. So it is, in some cases, in some countries, it's a currency.
Right.
So when you move those particular stable coins, they're going to be treated as money.
Equivalent to a dollar.
Equivalent
Right.
as a dollar. So with that, there is still reporting obligations. So when we look at payments, we know the traditional way dealing with money changers and taking fiat and going and paying huge, outrageous FX fees. So we want to cut beyond that. And we want to really try to think about how you can utilize how someone working offshore or, in Dubai or in Kenya, how are they able to utilize a US stablecoin or other type of currencies, stablecoin, transferring into a wallet, and then within that wallet, converting it internally behind the scenes where we can redeem and then mint another currency and sending that other currency into their wallet and providing an off ramp with money changers or different type of platforms that can provide these off ramps. So it's just about mobility and
Sure. Can you give us an example so we can actually visualize what you're referring to? So I know we chatted a little bit about payroll, about overseas workers who are trying to send money back home. And I think that really resonated with me when you shared that story. Can you give us that real tangible example
Yeah.
so we can think through the flow?
So in the past, stablecoin was not profitable when US rates were, in the
When the interest rates were low,
interest
yes.
rates were low.
We
So it was
remember
not
those
easy
days.
to operate a stablecoin. And we got to look at that. Interest rates are not going to stay 5.25, 5.5, forever. It's going to drop. And how do you manage other stable coins that doesn't have those underlying interest rates? So we look at currencies like Indonesian rupiah, Filipino pesos, and things that are really needed in the payroll space. So, for example, one of the things that really excites me about being in Hong Kong and being a regulated stablecoin in the future is the ability to on and off ramp with CBDCs.
Okay.
Which is the key. So if we can look at an example of a Chinese construction company or any type of construction company that has a lot of workers working overseas, they generally do not get paid in through their bank accounts.
Right.
So they get paid in local
Cash.
currency.
Yep.
So they have to run to their local money changers and pay the exorbitant fees like what I talked about earlier. And sending it back. So now what we're trying to do is convince those construction companies to pay them in stablecoin.
Right.
And providing a payroll custody solution within the platform. From there, they can convert their pay directly into their wallets, their payroll wallets. And because they have a US dollar based currency, they can convert that to any currency that they want to. And we would mint that and sending it to their
Right.
or off ramp with CBDCs or off ramp with other fiat currencies. So it's just a matter of time that's going to work.
I love that example, to be honest,
yeah.
because that's real world. That's a real world problem that people are facing with today, and unfortunately, our traditional financial infrastructure hasn't been able to fill that gap. So that's what excites me about stablecoins, dollar stablecoins, from a global adoption perspective. But let's talk about Sui. I mean, FDUSD has been launched on Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain for ever since inception. And Sui is a third chain that you decided to go live on. It's been a little while. Can you tell us, we talked about why Sui, but from your perspective, in your own words, what made you feel like that this was the right ecosystem to build with?
Well, as a new company, we're under a year old. We also feel that the industry is going to change. There's going to be players, there's going to be protocols like Sui that's going to overtake a lot of the older protocols. So we feel that, the OGs.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that we support each other in the ecosystem. Again, we're new stablecoin, and people are also constantly testing us with redemptions and mintings and just making sure that we have all of our processes in place. And I really like the way that Sui's kind of grown in the market. And I've met your team, great team, and yeah, so it's just like a natural fit.
No, I think the narrative is quite interesting because you mentioned you guys launched in June, we launched back in May, and we are both at this, I guess, crossroad of
Hmm.
where is this industry going to go. Um, One thing I want to call out, I think when we were initially talking about our partnership, my main pitch was how fast our DeFi ecosystem was growing. The panel right before us, we had, a number of key DeFi projects, protocols that have contributed to the tremendous growth that we have seen within Sui in the past 10 months. Our TVL is floating around 700 million, and it's taken other chains double or triple that amount of time to
Hmm.
reach the successes that we've seen. But it's not purely on us. It's really the builders and the projects that have been that have specifically chosen Sui as a destination to build on. And I think stablecoins has a really, really important role in driving that growth and helping that growth to move along in the next 12, 18 months and further down the line. So from a DeFi perspective, can you just share a little bit about how active is FDUSD right now within the Ethereum ecosystem? And what specifically about Sui do you think, what is the difference that you think we can provide that you're currently not seeing on the EVM side?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we really have a sort of a lot of our activities is on the centralized exchange side. We want to get a little bit more active and with the DeFi protocols, and I think by doing that, we got to get out there. We got to help. We got to work with your team to help us get really into that ecosystem,
Sure.
because it's important that I feel that there's diversification with different stablecoins. So we're not saying that we're going to want to dominate, but I think it's important that diversification within the ecosystem
Right.
will help Sui, will help the other protocols grow within DeFi.
Yep.
Yeah.
So really optionality, right? You want to make sure that the
Yeah.
projects like Cetus, Bluefin, Navi,
Hmm.
Turbos, Sweetland, I mean, I could go on and on with all the projects that have decided to build on us. Give them the optionality to think through what dollar stablecoin works best for them and what are the products that users are looking for so that they can leverage the stablecoins
Yes.
that are available to them so that they can iterate and find product market fit.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, on that front, I would like to ask you for some forecast numbers, some metrics. What are some targets that you have in mind for FDUSD specifically as a whole? And what are some metrics you'd like to see for FDUSD on Sui?
Well, I think that we're in a bull market for another year and a half or so, 2 years.
I hope
Within
it's
that,
longer than
yeah,
that. But okay,
yeah. I
let's hear
think
it.
by we want to be in the pretty much 10 billion by the end of the year.
You want to reach 10 billion market cap by the end
Market
of the
cap by
year.
the 10 the end of the year.
Wow. We're going to be
Think-
popping some Bordeaux once
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happens.
But we're taking it slow, so I'm being conservative. But on
We're being
Sui, if
very
we
slow.
can do, we can do $1 billion on Sui before the end of the year. I think that
Where's
would,
Alonzo? Alonzo, you hear that? All right, let's do it.
yeah,
$1 billion on Sui by the end of the year and $10 billion for FDUSD as a market cap as a whole.
that's what I
Okay.
like to see. So,
All right. Well, we're going to do Basecamp again next year.
Mhm.
And let's revisit this conversation and let's everyone help achieve this goal together as a community and see if we can get us there and pop Bordeaux together. Awesome. Well, I just have a couple of thoughts from my side, if I may, because we really talked about stablecoins and the importance of stablecoins for a sustainable DeFi. When I think about stablecoins, why really is it important? I think it represents money, right? So I worked 15 years in TradFi as well, and I've came over and have no intentions of going back. And I don't think the copy and paste function really works if we look at how some industries have decided to copy TradFi and paste exactly what they have built to try and create something new. I think we have to be different. I think we have to be creative. However, in order for us to compare whether Web3 DeFi is more efficient compared to TradFi, you need stablecoins as a measuring stick to your
Correct.
point. That way, you have a way of understanding, are rates better in the DeFi world versus what we're getting from the traditional banks? Can people build things where they're cutting out the middleman and cutting out the inefficiencies, the manual paper pushing to create a better product for users? So we're at the end of the day all better off and all enjoying the Bordeaux that Paris and France has to offer. And I think as a result of that, stablecoins is not only important in DeFi, it's just important in general.
Yep.
We're excited about the real world use cases that you guys are working on for payroll, for cross-border payments, all that good stuff. And we're hopeful that you can really be a main contributor to Sui at the base camp of our summit to help grow together. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your partnership. And I look forward to seeing you again next year so we can talk about the goals that we have together as a team.
Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.